Okay, Greg Pickel, here's my question for you as we try and look ahead after Penn State eventually pulled away from pesky Buffalo. If Penn State plays like this at noon against a Pittsburgh team that's probably going to be motivated to try and play well, what are the chances it's going to be a really, really close game?
Yeah, the problem I have with Pittsburgh after 2 weeks is that they just look pedestrian on offense. I mean,
Right.
They put 20 points up against Ohio in
Yeah.
week 2. I can't recall what they
13,
put up.
I think it was 24,
against,
13,
against Virginia. I mean, these aren't defenses that are setting the world on fire. So, obviously, I think you could see a game sort of like this one at halftime if Penn State comes out with that same first half mentality of just not hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Brown doesn't make a tremendous play to force a fumble and then recover it. And if Sean Clifford doesn't find a way to get the ball to Jahan Dotson, even though KJ Hamler is in basically the same spot, I mean,
Right.
it could have been 10-0 at the break, and it still wouldn't have been insurmountable in this game because Buffalo is a MAC team for a reason. But they have a lot to figure out. There's no doubt about that. If all the warm and fuzzy feelings from last week's Idaho game are gone, there's a lot to build on, obviously, based on the second half.
Biggest concern moving forward, is it the play of the offensive line? Is it the play of the defensive line against the run? Or is it the lack of disruptive plays from the linebacker group?
All of the above? Is that too easy?
Come on.
To me, it's the offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think goes back, and I'll be curious to see what you think about this, but it goes back to me, Bob. They have too many positions where they seem to have a lot of guys, and they don't have the guy. And I know that they like to substitute a lot of guys in. They like to make wholesale changes on the defensive line. They like to play Mike Miranda, C.J. Thorpe, and Steven Gonzalez. They like to bring Des Holmes in from time to time at tackle. And that's fine and well, but, there's a reason that the best teams in the country don't do that stuff. And it's because they have the guy at many spots.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like too often, especially with the offensive line, they just don't have enough guys that can go out there and be winning players really from start to finish. So I think that's the biggest concern in my mind.
Where has Ricky Slade been in the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, he has to fumble today. I don't know. I can't imagine it's a confidence issue, but clearly he hasn't been Penn State's best back. I think you think it's Journey Brown. I have no argument to make there. Noah Cain's looked good when he's been. Yes, right. Noah Cain's looked good when he's been in the game, but Journey Brown seems to be the most decisive runner. I don't think there's any argument to be made there. When that guy gets the ball, he hits a hole and he goes. And to me, if that's what Penn State wants to do moving forward, then it's going to have to get a healthier dose of him and maybe not as much Ricky Slade. We'll have to wait and see.
There was one thing that James Franklin said in his post-game interview that gave me a little pause. I don't know if you picked up on it, but I kind of thought he might have taken a little bit of a shot at assistant coaches. He said, we can't just wait until halftime to make adjustments. We have to be able to make adjustments in-game, not when we have extended time in the locker room. Because if you notice, when they finally had time to kind of talk about it, the result was a much better, much more inspired effort after the break. But he said, he talked about in-game adjustments. What did you read into that comment?
Yeah, I think that we've come to learn with 6 years now with James Franklin that his messages often aren't really for the media or for they're for mostly players and coaches and people in the program or people who support the program. And I think that this is not the first time we've heard him say this about a young team or the lack of adjustments in game. Sean Clifford was asked about it afterwards, and he basically said, we made the adjustments. He felt like they made the adjustments. They just didn't execute on what they were setting out to do. The truth is certainly somewhere in the middle, but it's obvious that whatever the communication was during the first half, it just didn't work. And I think you saw that on the field, too. They had to call a timeout because they had 12 men on the field. I mean, things just were not clean. If anything was not right last week against Idaho, it was the operation.
Yeah.
They had a lot of operation things to clean up, and I don't feel like they cleaned up all of them today. So I think that has to be an area they focus on moving forward.
One last thing. I know you're a gambler. Fill in the blanks as we tape this. The spread on Penn State Pitt opens at
14.
I'm going to say 18.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Whoever's right, the loser buys.
Okay.
And we're not talking about sodas.